Okay, so welcome to another episode of Business Spotlight. I'm very excited for today's interview. I'm here with Franz from Zollo. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Nice to meet you as well.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you here. So we're going to talk about the journey of going from, I guess, an idea to a startup through to where you are today. Can you tell us a bit about your company and what it does?
Would love to. So we company is Zollo. So we help businesses be sustainable, and we do that through the recycling of old technology. So we come in to an office and we collect any old IT equipment. So that could be laptops, computers, cables, anything in an office environment. So we come in and we operate in a circular economy model where we maximize the life cycle of tech. So giving old tech new life to create impact. And we go through an extensive data destruction process as well from a compliance standpoint. And yeah, that's essentially and how the business runs. We reintroduce the devices into the secondhand market. We mainly connect it to non-for-profits and small businesses. So creating a new platform to be able to purchase tech in a more cost-effective manner. And as a purpose-led organization, we do have a company promise and goal of connecting 20 devices per month to our charity partner, so that providing tech to individuals and people that don't have access to it. So that's kind of like us as a whole.
Excellent. Thank you. And if we go back to the Genesis story, tell us about the start of the company. What led you to it, and how did it all go?
For sure. I came from a corporate background, so I used to work at Optus in marketing. And I think the journey started in 2020, the first iteration of COVID. I was in my corporate job, and I think I was at the point where I was looking for purpose and meaning behind the work that I do. I was in my mid-20s back then, and I think I was at the point where I was mentally and physically drained from climbing the corporate ladder. So I took a leap of faith and resigned without a backup plan. And I think mainly the contributor towards that is I'm just going, I was on a mission to find work that's fulfilling and has meaning and ladders up to my values as an individual. So I took some time off. And I did like a transformative yoga teacher training, which was super grounding, and it's one of the best experiences that I went through. And I reconvened with my childhood friend who's in IT, who's kind of in the same situation as I was, where we're both looking for purpose and meaning behind work. And then we just combined our expertise together. Him being an IT expert, and I have the background in marketing, sales, and partnerships. And we collectively identified an opportunity in the e-waste space where there's 20 million unused tech sitting in Australian homes. And the initial desire for us, our intention was, because that was during COVID, where digital learning was like trending. And there were some people who don't have access to tech, which means that they wouldn't be able to do online learning, so they'll be behind. So how the business started was we ran a Facebook campaign encouraging people in Sydney to declutter for good. And we individually went to every single household in Sydney and collected old tech. Not the most commercially viable way to do it, because we were operating at a loss. But we did that just to test a proof of concept, to see if it gets traction. From a messaging standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, from a go-to-market standpoint as well. And we, it generated a lot of traction, which is great. So we paused that and completely transformed the business to a B2B organization, because it makes more business sense to do it on a B2B scale, because we get more and whatnot. And yeah, that's how it all came to life. Started from a Facebook campaign, captured all the learnings, and still continue to refine. So we're offering a solution for businesses to be able to sustainably do good with their old tech, without compromising on data security as well, in a way that's better for people and the planet.
Yeah, well done. Nice. And you mentioned there that you started this with a friend, with a co-founder. What's been, let's look at both sides of this. What's been the benefits and what are some of the challenges of having a co-founder?
I think the benefits would be, I think, and this was the chat that we had initially, he's always going to be brother first, business partner second. And, we continue to stick to that. And knowing for a fact that regardless of how we may behave as individuals, we want the best for each other, and we have that trust. So those are like that's pretty much the foundations. Of course, it's a roller coaster ride working with someone, and there's peaks and troughs. But I guess the benefit is just transparency around the communication standpoint. There's no ambiguity. It's easy for us to communicate because we're homeboys, we grew up together. So I think communication is incredibly important in all spheres in life. And that's something that that's the foundation of our partnership as co-founders and as friends. So it's probably the benefits of that. It's just easier to work with someone. And I guess I think what we're learning at the moment is we're now in a good place now, actually, because initially during the early phase of the business, I was involved in what he's doing and he's involved in what I was doing. And that's just, I think what we've learned is it's just not an efficient way to run a very lean company / startup, just because, there's a scarcity in resource at that time. So I think we made a decision, all right, I trust you in your IT and operations remit. And he trusts me in terms of, the acquisition and the marketing and sales. And, we just given ourselves full autonomy of our roles, and then, I think that actually worked better for us in terms of how we work together and whatnot. So I think, just having that full autonomy and trust.
Nice. And there's the evidence actually points to faster growth and more success or less failure rate when there's co-founders rather than an individual. So good on you. And interesting that you had that realization that we should draw some lines in the sand and I'll do this and you do that. So good on you. Yeah. So since deciding to pivot or focus in on B2B, what's been the journey so far to today? What have been some big milestones for the business?
I think in terms of milestones, the benchmark would be the partners that we onboard. I think as a company, I think we will stick to our values and as in our foundation. We will continue to be purpose-led and driven by values. I think everything that we do needs to be intentional, and that applies to the partners that we onboard as well. I think we're very grateful and blessed to have a purpose-driven, purpose-led partnerships roster. So we're working with brands like Canva, who's known to be a company to be a force for good. We're working with Bank Australia, which is a purpose-led bank, Eucalyptus, ZipPay, so on and so forth. So I think the approach has always been we would always look inward and identify what we stand for as individuals and as a business, and that'll dictate how we kind of procure these partners. And in terms of the actual work when it comes to pitching for a business, it just comes natural because both parties are values driven, and there's a commonality there when it comes to just making, and it sounds cliche, but making the world a better place, because that's why we started the business and that's why they started their respective business as well. So I guess that's kind of like our approach, and that's always been kind of like the benchmark when it comes to partnerships.
Nice, and you found the alignment between the two of you. How have you funded the growth?
So we have, in terms of how we started it from scratch, of course, self-funded. Had to live off my savings for 8 months, which was tough. And and my business partner was the one who injected the capital. And we kind of, I think we were sitting, the initial capital was just 20K. And we had 20K. We need to be able to use that 20K in a way that, that would generate cash in the future. So that was the initial capital. So it's mainly just sweat and savings. And the second one was we secured a founder, not founder, an investor last year. It was we didn't do the traditional pre-seed phase where we had an angel investor that we took on board. Initially, the main, it's a perfect partnership between us and our investor, because he fills the gaps in terms of my weaknesses, in terms of my co-founder's weaknesses as well. So I guess that's the most important thing. And of course, he believes in what we're trying to do as a company outside of just generating the numbers. I think what's important for us and where we're super disciplined about is protecting our mission and making sure that we only onboard, and this applies to recruitment as well. Whoever becomes a part of the company needs to kind of believe in what we're trying to achieve as a brand and as a company. So that was kind of like our the rules of thumb, they say. And yeah, it's just a genuine partnership now. There's a level of trust as well. And yeah, I think the most complementary, it's complementary in terms of skill sets and weaknesses as well.
Nice. This is a hot topic for a lot of entrepreneurs at any stage is, should I get investment, get funding, giving up equity and all that kind of stuff. But what I'd be interested in, a lot of concerns will be interested in, is what does it take to present, or what do you need to focus on to present your business well to potential investors?
I'll use us as an example, because I believe that there are other ways other founders may do it. How we did it is we didn't see it as our investor investing into Zolo. We saw it as the investor investing into us, into me as an individual. So that's how we've kind of approached it, because at the end of the day, we're the ones who's going to do the work. We're the ones who did the work. So I think that's the most important thing, is to be able to kind of demonstrate a level of competency. You don't have to be an expert in the field, but just having that right attitude. Resilience is incredibly important, and having that passion is because I think passion is something that passion for the industry, passion for the craft is something that can't be taught. You can't create a pitch deck for that. It's just a matter of who you are as an individual. So I guess that's kind of the foundation when we were procuring an investor as part of our company. And of course, the traditional way of, this is our company, these are the financial projections and how much we've made. And with an injection of cash, this is how much we're going to make as well. Just kind of painting that picture. I think being able to kind of demonstrate and visualize the future in a way that's impactful and compelling, and just tie it down with, we can achieve all that with X, Y, Z. So yeah, I think that's how we've kind of approached when we were looking for an investor. It started with, you have to believe in us first, and then this is what we can do collectively as a team.
Excellent. It's very, very precise of you. And probably not a common thought process, I would think, that people would, in terms of approach that they would take. What challenges do you see ahead for yourself or the business?
Just in general, or?
Yeah.
I think the challenge would be just, it's a good question. Plenty of challenges, of course. So, we've got a team now. So we have staff now. I think it's a matter of how, as a leader, how I can get the best out of them. That's always been kind of like not necessarily a challenge, but a key emphasis of mine. And at the same time, just being able to kind of continue to drive the vision and the culture of the company in a way that would keep staff motivated. So that's probably one of the things that I often think about. And then I think the second one would be just building a consistent sales pipeline, sales and leads pipeline, because we are a B2B company and we heavily rely on reaching out to our target audience, for example. So it's just finding different ways to kind of how can we operationalize that and make it more efficient. So I think those are the main challenges that I'm kind of thinking about at the moment.
Awesome. And I guess it's kind of related, but so you've recognized some challenges. How do you go about upgrading your skills and knowledge to help you with those challenges? What's your habit around that?
I'm blessed to have an army of mentors that kind of instill me with wisdom, confidence, and just insights and learnings. So that's always my go-to. I'm not I don't need to be the best at doing what I do. I think I would always be curious, and I would always have a curiosity mindset where I'm always open to learn and be corrected. What I can do is put in the work and make sure that I can execute. But when it comes to asking for help, I'm blessed to have mentors that in different spheres of life as well, that I can just reach out to, listen to a lot of podcasts, obviously, and read a lot of books. I think that's part of those things are my non-negotiables in terms of being mindful of the things that I consume, whether that be from a social media standpoint and whatnot, and just cultivating an environment where I'm always learning is something, one of my core values as well. Is just the environment that I'm in is super important. Because I'm quite mission driven, and I'm very disciplined when it comes to the steps that I need to take in order to fulfill that mission, which means there's a level of sacrifice when it comes to the things that I can't do, the people that I can't associate myself with. So there's a level of sacrifice there in terms of decluttering the environment that I'm in and making sure that I'm only surrounded by like-minded individuals that have a genuine desire for me to win, and I want them to win as well. So just cultivating that culture is kind of like my go-to.
Excellent. And what are you excited about in the future?
I think what I'm excited about the future. First thing that came to my mind when you asked that question was I'm a big NBA basketball fan, and I just want my team to win. That's the first. I'm being transparent. That's the first thing that I thought of. I just want my NBA team to win. But in all seriousness, I think being able to continue to scale and grow the company. I think sometimes, and not sometimes, I personally neglect the journey to get to this point, from working off a garage in Chippendale in the inner west of Sydney to having an actual recycling facility, and having to work with some of the biggest brands in the world like Canva and whatnot. I think just kind of looking back at the journey, and I think what excites me the most is the journey ahead, the steps that I have to take. It's just being there in the moment. I know it sounds super cliche, but I think that's what excites me the most. I wake up every day excited, and I think it's very vanilla answer, but it's just that's the truth.
And what's the NBA team?
Miami Heat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously.
I'm a big basketball fan. Yeah.
No, it's good to hear that, because too often, I definitely, in my journey, I meet a lot of business owners where business is the only thing in their life. We've got to have other things. We've got to.
Oh, for sure.
Business is for life, not it isn't life. Yeah. So
I 100% agree with you. I think a year ago, that was my approach. We're business, it's all about business. But I think the most important thing is have fun in the process. And not to take, I don't take myself too seriously anymore. I think my number one rule is just to have fun at all costs. And that's the culture that I instill into my team. Of course, you know, the business is important, don't get me wrong. But I feel like to get the best out of me, I need to, you know, it needs to be fun. And I find what I'm doing fun, you know, the sales, hustling for leads, creating marketing plan, executing marketing plans. I find that fun. So, and you know, just the people that you surround yourself with, and you know, I'm grateful that I get to share this with other people as well. So yes.
Fantastic. And lastly, friends, if anyone out there has a bunch of tech lying around their office, or how should they reach out to you?
www.zolo.com.au. And yeah, we'll be in touch.
Excellent. And I'll put that in the show notes as well.
Appreciate that.
Thank you for your time today. It was a good insight into an early stage startup, and particularly a purpose-driven one. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Stephen. I appreciate you.